Hey folks, Dude here. Well, where am I at? I'm outside, obviously, but right around this general area right here, that is Gettysburg. The Gettysburg Battlegrounds, which of course puts me onto the adjoining property of 199 acres of Pennsylvania's finest, which would be, that's right, this is Dwight D. Eisenhower's house. General 5-star Eisenhower's house. How cool is that? Well, basically, Mrs. Dude and I want to have like a weekend away for our anniversary, so we decided to take a trip north and hang out here in the good old state of Pennsylvania and, well, kind of check things out. You know, if you guys get a chance to come up here and check this place out, it is just exceedingly nice. Very nice, very quiet, very picturesque. And, I mean, if you basically walk through the house, it is definitely a house that was built back in the 50s. And it's definitely it's one of those ones you go to like your grandparents' house, and it definitely kind of has that kind of feel. And it's definitely a kind of cool thing. If you guys get a chance to do that, I'm not going to make this a hugely long video, but I just want to give you guys kind of a cool thing to look at. And General Eisenhower's house, good times. It's now park property, so it's basically a U.S. park. And if you get a chance to come on down to Gettysburg, take a tour here. Good times. All right, folks, we got done with our tour of the Eisenhower stuff, and we're coming back to pick up our vehicle over here at the Gettysburg Battlefield Visitor Center. But there's only one small problem. There was no parking to be had except for in the green vehicle only area. And well, I look at these signs and I say this is balderdash. It's crap. All right, so let's see what we got here. Car. Oh, that's a Honda Fit. That's not a hybrid. Oh, that's a Prius. That's a hybrid. Subaru, that's not a hybrid. Ford van, that's not a hybrid. Chevy Malibu, that's not a hybrid. Corolla, that's not a hybrid. What's that over there? A Toyota Sienna or one of them guys, that's not a hybrid. Nissan Pathfinder, Subaru. You know what? All these green vehicles aren't quite green enough. But, oh look, here's my car. That's not a hybrid either. Oh well, screw 'em. I'm parking where I need to park. Hey folks, kind of made a wrong turn. I went zigging when I should have gone zagging, and you can see there's more stuff over here, and of course cannon stuff over there, and tons of hills and dale and other places where they basically did a whole bunch of like combat type stuff back in the Civil War. And you know, when you come to Gettysburg, you really can't make a wrong turn because you're gonna find something historic. And I know basically they'll look like open fields, but if you look at the lay of the land on these things, you can actually almost kind of see the battles in your head. And I'll give you more of a write-up about this stuff when I get back home, because, you know, that'll have the computer in front of me. I'll be able to, you know, talk about, like, the various attractions that just really aren't hitting me between the eyes right now in the brain pan. I'm still working on that first cup of coffee, and it ain't working. But, I mean, yeah, you got, like, cars cutting through the middle of these things, and you know, there's all kinds of various battlefield type stuff. But I know I'm spinning in circles here. You guys are probably going, dude, you're making me dizzy. But basically, even if you make a wrong turn in Gettysburg, you're going to find something historical. Good times. All right, folks, I'm not going to hit like every single stop and, you know, basically show every single battlefield. But to give you some idea of the lay of the land, this is what's known as McPherson's Field. And as you're looking at across here, you can see all the various fence lines, and of course all the ridge and everything, and it's dead on flat, man. You got perfect ways to just trade rounds, you know, for person to person, and you're using black powder stuff, so you really don't range real far. But the cannon fire must have been literally murder. And let me cruise on over here for a sec. And of course, basically you got nothing but field, more field, tons of open area, and there's not a lot of places to hide. But on the other side here, we've got some tree line, which you have to then fight through. And of course, you know, that'd be a good place to gather your guys and then come charging out. But then you come running right out into the open area, the cannon fire, and you're in a world of hurt. Anybody can tell you, basically, you got rounds incoming. You're going to be eating a lot of gravel because there's not a lot of cover, and you're pretty much soft meat ready to get spammed in the can. Not good times. All right, folks, I'm sure you probably have heard this expression called a killing field. This is your best depiction of a killing field. Basically, you got some cannon cocker here. He's basically lining up on the bad boys that he's got to hook up with and drop some hurt on them. And that ain't far. That far Okay, the close fence is maybe about 100 yards. The second fence is maybe about 200 yards. That third fence is not even a quarter mile. And with one of these bad boys, you'll definitely be dropping some serious hurt on them. I would venture to say that that far house is maybe 500 yards, maybe not even 6. With one of these cannons, you could be dropping 12-pounders on them, and they would definitely take them apart in a big hurry. And if you look at your claim to fame here with a whole brace of these guys, well, these things are firing probably 2 to 3 rounds per minute, and you got a group of people coming at you. When you start tossing them up with about 12 cannons, you're making hash. You're making hash real quick. And I definitely would not want to have been one of the guys fighting back in the Civil War. Not good times at all. All right, folks, here again, here's another example of the kind of stuff you had to face. Basically, you've got your cannon emplacements. They're all set up. They got some trees to block up incoming rounds. Of course, this will ruin a bit of their T&E, and they'll have to probably change their placement of their cannon from time to time because, well, basically you can't shoot into a tree, but you can basically do grazing fire, and basically you could go ding, 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 and over this way you could go ding, 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 ding. Probably that tree wasn't even there. These are kind of not really old trees, so maybe there were saplings back then that just didn't get knocked down, because you got to remember how long ago the Civil War was. But all right, so basically you got your grazing fire, ding, 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 ding. So basically you got about 60 degrees of arc here. The guy next to you right here would probably have his 60 degrees of arc, and you would have, let me try to do this easy here, but you would have interlapping or overlapping fields of fire. And let's go for a quick distance mark here. I know I can't really do zoom on this guy, but I'm going to say that house, that red house down there yonder, is probably the better part, probably close to half a mile, maybe a little closer than that. Maybe it's a barn or something. Maybe a quarter mile. The dome behind it is, well, that's at least a half a mile away. But you can see how open the fields are here. So when it comes time to start dropping some hurt on somebody, there's not much to really stop you. You really could reach out with a cannon. I got to look up the specs on it, and I'll put it down to annotations, the range of the the various artillery pieces that they're using. But even with the black powder cannons, man, you really could reach out there, especially when you get like a really seriously high arc launch where you're basically just dropping it back down on them with a delayed charge. And if you had exploding munitions, potentially you didn't have to be close to them, because it's basically a big shotgun going off in the air, drops the bombs right back down on their heads. Bad times, and I sure as hell am real happy I never fought in the Civil War. Ugh, bad times. All right, folks, we're on top of an area called Little Round Top. This is one of the commanding view areas. I mean, it's pretty high up compared to everywhere else, and you can kind of really get a good look at the rest of the battlefield. And down the distance there, I think you can probably see, I think I might be facing the correct direction, you can probably see Eisenhower's farm. That's right, Ike Eisenhower. Oh, this is the other side of the property. This will be the back side. So basically on the battlefield, I think I'm on the southeast corner. It's like an area called Devil's Den and Little Round Top and Big Round Top. I'm on top of Little Round Top, and it is what it is. Really rocky, really craggy, a lot of exposed rocks, and it's pretty high up. So you can see you got kind of a commanding view. Like, unfortunately, I got the sun in my face, but I'm trying to make do. So essentially, I'm just looking around here, and you can see the lay of the land. Basically, it meanders from where I'm at. It goes down. There's a valley. It goes back up. And then on the other side of that thicket of trees there, it drops back down again. It becomes this huge flat area where you can see, basically, you got like commanding view. You can really trade some serious rounds with each other. And dead center there in the center of your screen, if you can kind of see it, that's basically one of the elevated towers you climb on and get a good view of stuff. But I'm going to break off on this one, but I just want to give you guys a view on top of Little Round Top. Is it really little? Yeah. Is it really round? I don't know, but it's basically like a little mountain area, and that's what we're doing now. Good times. All right, folks, here again I found one of them serendipitous cannon things, so let me take a quick look-see here. So basically you got this commanding field of view. You got this huge area. I'm sure that memorial wasn't in place there. I'm sure this memorial wasn't in place there, but you can see just by the huge field of view, of course that being the big old cannon here, you really can drop some serious hurt on top of somebody from a good long ways off. Dead center of your screen right now is a white house. I'm going to say distance on that is about 1.5 miles, maybe closer to maybe almost a mile and 3/4. I'm just eyeballing it. Way down there. It's probably about 2-3 miles away of some other stuff. That one's probably about a half a mile off. Those rocks right there are probably about a 1/4 mile or so, going all the way up to my elevation, which is probably about at least 150 feet up from, you know, the lowest level I've seen so far, maybe 200 feet. But that means a hell of a lot when you're talking black powder cannon. Hey, let's just take a quick look here. So basically you got your cannon. Of course, you got your area to stick your striker guy in there, which would be your fusible pull match. And of course, you got your elevation. So that's taken care of there. Your traversing was the low rung of the totem pole guy, basically sticking a bar into here, threading it into there, picking a whole assemblage up, and moving it from side to side. And of course, the guy that was running the sights, he basically would he'd plug a sight in here, get his elevation right, line it up. Of course, there was a front sight blade that's missing off on this one, but basically he would get his aim correct. He would tell the guy, you know, basically left, right, and he would adjust the height. Okay, so everything's all lined up. Everybody's, you know, loading everything on up. Round down range, kasplat. Low tech, but they do work. Basically, rounds fired, whole thing kicks back a good ways. You basically pick it up, you run it back forward, block it back into place, which is kind of pretty much just everything just moving around. So every round you got to reset for another shot. So going back around to the front, you can see a little bit here. 1, 2, 3. 3 rifling marks. So that would be groove, groove, groove. Big fat lands. So that is a 3-groove rifled cannon dating from 1864. So that'd be a big ass cannon. What is that booger, like 3 inches or so, 2.5 inch? I don't even know, man, but that's something I don't want to see staring me in the face. And of course they do have a block in there, so you don't stick your hand too far in there, but it is a 3-groove rifled cannon. Now, like I said, the good crews, getting one of these guys all lined up, 2 to 3 rounds per minute, that's a lot of ammunition flying down range. Good times. Well, maybe not with one of these, but good times. All right, folks, you're now wondering, why am I looking at the ground? Well, it's very simple. You run out of ammunition. You have one other source of ammunition left that's easily accessible. You have at your disposal one surplus, U.S. government style, ready to fly, rock. They work every time they're used. And they're everywhere. Good times. Yeah, I felt I needed to take a break from the seriously heavy, somber stuff. You know, when you basically have that literally brother against brother thing, north and south, it just gets hard, man. I mean, you're basically thinking about the case of 50,000 men involved in killed in action, wounded in action, captured. And the town population in Gettysburg back then was under a couple thousand, or was a couple thousand. So next thing you know, you had like huge groups of incurring combat all over the place. I'm sure the locals were just like, man, what the hell? And I'm sure they're thinking something a little stronger than hell. But I just want to break off of that, you know, because it just starts getting, it gets tedious, man. I mean, you start thinking about like fields of nothing but, you know, guys pegging rounds at each other constantly, and just how many days it takes to treat everybody, and wall-to-wall deaders. And the worst part I heard recently in one of the sections was there's an area called the wheat field. 4,000 guys basically got wiped out. The pigs got kicked loose from one of the farms. One of the guys is laying down waiting for treatment. A couple days he's waiting there for treatment because, you know, the battle lines have shifted so much. And then the pigs get loose from a neighborhood farm, and what do? They start feasting on the dead guys. Ugh, horrible stuff. I'm gonna break off here. All right, folks, we're basically looking at Eisenhower's house, so I think I'm looking south. I have to look at my map coordinates. If I'm wrong, I'll put in the annotations, but he had 50 trees on the driveway that leads you into his property, and of course, that's Eisenhower's place over that way. House, you could just barely see it in the trees, like right over there. Now, here's something that's kind of damn hilarious. Okay, the battlefield's been open since, well, you know, time and eternal. Basically, people coming out here, military types, and just civilians doing studies and trying to get a lay of the land and trying to figure the place out, and screaming children in the background today kind of sucks, but basically trying to get a lay of the land. Of course, I'm looking directly at the sun right now, so I'm sorry about that, but that's just the way this one is. I can't really move the sun or make me move around. Or am I looking more due west and it's more southwest for, you know, Eisenhower's property? Lay of the land, kind of thinking that, but if I'm wrong, I'll put in the annotations. But here's the funny ass thing. So the locals know Eisenhower has the property here. He bought it up. I think it's like 189 acres or something like that. Bought the thing up back in, I think it was in like in the 30s or 40s or something. I think it was like right around like just after, no, maybe 40s or something. Maybe 40s, 50s, somewhere in there. But anyways, his first piece of property, his only house he ever bought. Every other house he lived in was during his military career and during president, what have you. So basically it was all not his house. But the one piece of property he did own is here in Gettysburg, 189 acres. Bought it for $40K, which was a huge amount of money back then. They said it was really like he got stuck for the price, but he got a lot of cows and stuff with it. But it's a really nice place. But here's the kicker. So Eisenhower's president. He has his house on time in between of him doing stuff international and stuff in DC, taking a break and his heart attack and all the rest of Falderall. He comes back here and he relaxes. Secret Service, being Secret Service, is like, you know what? You got to secure the property. There's nowhere in the world anybody should have high ground. Anybody should have observation points. People should not have good and, well, clear reason or any potential to, you know, harm the president. What do they have? Well, they had this. They had this huge observation tower that is probably every bit of about, geez, it's at least 50 feet tall. This thing is huge. Well, here's the kicker. Basically, you got this huge observation tower, and you can see the house, and you can see the house. And the house, well, the house view, you can definitely see the tower. Well, here's the kicker. When the Secret Service goes, we got to protect the president, they shut down the tower. So what do the locals do? They go, oh, that's pretty cool. We want to go, hey, the tower's closed. We can't go on hey, wait a minute. If we can't go up in the tower and Eisenhower's house is over here, hey, that means the president's around. Let's go and pay him a visit. So the Secret Service guys said it was not too unusual for you to be out, and they used to basically put a guy at each corner of the house or each side of the house, sitting in a chair, you know, overnight, basically sitting out there with a cup of coffee, flashlight, and of course their standard issue, well, probably good caliber weapon, and they're just sitting out there just watching the view and hanging out and wait for loonies. And occasionally somebody would come walking on the property going, you know what, I really got a gripe with the president, or I got a suggestion for the president. The Secret Service would have to say, dude, no, you're on private property. Let's go for a walk, but let me put these spiffy bracelets on you. So the locals got to know after a while, when this tower was locked down, the president was in residence. You probably could rely on it as like clockwork. Kind of funny. That's the way it came out to be. The locals knew better than the Secret Service when the president was there. Good times. All right, folks, I'm definitely a fan of technology, but cruising around the Gettysburg battlefield on a Segway, I don't think I would go that route. And even funnier is the chick with the flag in the back, basically running the whole shebang, drives across the street. She's standing on a Segway trying to take a picture of the other two goofballs standing on Segways trying to pose, and everybody's moving around because these things do not stand still. No, they always seem to move around because they're trying to keep you from flipping over and themselves standing upright. Does it make a whole hell of a lot of sense to do, like, you know, some huge historical tour on a Segway? Look at these three people and you tell me, like, the characters that normally be riding a Segway in the Gettysburg battlefield. Ugh. All right, folks, on this one, I think I'm going to close up. And if you ever do get a chance to, you know, come up here to PA and cruise the Gettysburg battlefield, I would do so. It is a history lesson. It is profound, and it is something that you will not ever forget when you start hearing the numbers of, like, everybody involved. As usual, Henry's podcast channel can say, see it, and, you know, keep them in a 10 ring. Don't find yourself in a Civil War combat zone if you can avoid it. Ugh, bad times.